Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Money Talks, which is episode 13, where we will be discussing focus, mindset, and preparation. Okay, the reason why we thought that this would be a great topic to share with you guys, because these are three massive subjects that we will try and cram into this very short episode, whilst giving you as much possible information about them as we possibly can, and hopefully provide you with tremendous value as well. So we're going to start with obviously introducing ourselves like we always do. My name is Asen Kirilov and I represent GENSPI, and my amazing co-host JT. JT, say hello.
Howdy.
JT represents All My Wealth Machine, and we are the dynamic duo that you will be watching for the next, I'd say 30 to 45 minutes. So I hope you guys enjoy this episode. It's full of amazing information that will hopefully help you generate and focus and have that sort of clarity that you would need to be able to generate a successful business, hopefully for a long period of time to come. So we're going to start off with number one, which is focus, which is a very, very crucial point in any entrepreneurial journey. So I'm going to let JT take the reins on that one. JT?
Cool. So there's a lot that could be said about focus. I want to dispel a myth. And the myth is multitasking. Multitasking is an absolute lie, okay? I don't know if you believe in evolution or not, but regardless, our brains are hardwired to only focus on one thing at a time.
Especially for men.
Well, it's also true for women, but as not being a woman, I can't, they'll hate me for saying that, but it is the truth. Scientifically, there have been studies that it is truly impossible to focus on more than one thing at a time. Your brain just cannot handle it. Okay,
that is correct.
And obviously the social thing, which is why we got into this like men versus women thing, is like, oh yeah, men were hunters and they had like a single mind and they had to hunt the elephant. What did they hunt back then? Walruses or like mammoths or buffalo or something like that. But they had like a singular focus.
Mm-hmm.
And socially speaking, it's like the woman has to cook and clean and take care of the kids and all this stuff at the same time. So they think they're multitasking, but the reality is, if you kind of chunk down what they're doing, they're focusing on one thing for 5 seconds, and then they shift their focus to another thing for 5 seconds, and then they shift their focus to another thing for 5 seconds. They're not focusing on everything all at once. Like, it's impossible for the brain to handle that. They just have to, cycle through all of that more quickly. So it is a myth, and I've actually in the past lost jobs because I knew that multitasking was a lie. And I was trying to focus on one thing, and they're like, no, you have to pile all this crap on your plate. And I'm like, this is not effective. And they're like, oh, well, we're retarded. So whatever.
I don't think you can use that word anymore.
Really?
Yeah, apparently.
Well, I don't mean it in that way.
It's okay. We'll let you off.
I let myself off. So, as I said on my first guest episode, I cannot be held responsible for anything I think, say, or do. Okay,
that's fair enough. That's fair enough. So, tell us a little bit about what your main focus points are whenever you're trying to create content, for example. And that's just one example. What type of focus points do you use to be able to generate good content?
Well, what I do is I just kind of wing it. But what I do is I have a bunch of pictures, and then I look at a picture and it's like, well, that picture is cool. So let me use this picture. And then I was like, okay, what does this picture speak to me, or what kind of term or message can I put to the picture? And then I'll slap on a title like, okay, this is the idea that I'm trying to do. So then my content is framed between the title and the picture. So the picture kind of gives me, ideas, how can I use this? And then I have a title, and then I have, the body. So it's kind of like a big picture overview. Like one time I love automatic car washes. So I took a picture of automatic car wash one time that I was going through, which is like, a theme park ride without roller coasters. And I was like, oh yeah, I once took a girl on a date in a car wash, and then people were all like, I was like, well, that sounds terrible. So someone was like posted a gif of like this like, you know, bikini girl like washed in the car. And I was, no, that's not what I meant at all.
Fair enough. Okay, let's try and shift the focus a little bit here by focusing on other bits of focus that we can use. So that's actually not a bad idea, because, you know, visualizing the type of thing you want to focus on. Yes, we're going to talk about focus a lot and mention that word. So the type of things that you guys should focus on as an entrepreneur to be able to keep yourselves in one particular lane, so that you're always producing or creating, should I say, content that will be beneficial to your brand, to your journey, is definitely something that draws from an emotional standpoint. Whether it's a moment in time that you've experienced, whether it's a story that you're writing about, always make sure that you keep it true to yourselves, because the best way to create good content, solid content, and continuous content is to draw from what you know. If you're using yourself as an inspirational point, by all means, continue doing that. Yes, there are millions of subjects out there that you could be discussing. There's 100 million topics that you could be talking about, but in regards to your own personal brand, in regards to your content, definitely draw whenever you're trying to create content from points that you've gone through yourself, because nothing will be more true to yourselves than that. Do you agree?
Yeah. And I do want to kind of bring it to a bigger picture. I mean, this is great for content, but I think that like focus includes so many other things. You know, content is just like one little snippet of all the things that you could be focusing on, because focusing really affects every aspect of your life.
Yeah, of course it does. Whether you're driving a car and texting at the same time, which you should never do, you know, you're taking your focus point away from the wheel, away from the road. So that's just one example. But in reality, focus is a very, very important thing, especially when you're plodding along through life and trying to, you know, get the best out of any situation. You need to have focus, hence why mindset, which is the second part of our episode, is such a huge factor into all of it. Without one or the other, you're not able to do much in life, really. And yes, going back to what JT mentioned, we are very primitive when it comes to, you know, being able to multitask. And unfortunately, as men, although we get the absolute mick taken out of us, we do have difficulty focusing on more than one point. That's why we constantly hear that we don't listen, you know, or we don't giggle.
What?
We don't listen. Thank you. You just proved my point. The fact is that in reality, focus in general, whether it's just one particular focus point that drives you, or whether it's an inspirational point that, you know, helps aid your journey to continue forward in the most frivolous of ways, is very important to myself, to any entrepreneur who is, like I mentioned, whether they're working on creating content, whether they're working on developing their business. You know, it's pretty much the why, which is quite important as well, because in every journey there has to be a reason as to why. If you can create that focus point and keep your mind set on it, then your mindset will just follow.
Right. And I think it's definitely important to have a system that puts everything in place so that you can focus, and that so your mind is not distracted by what it could be doing, and it only has to focus on the absolute most important next thing. And I want to actually bring up a system for that. We're not sponsored or paid by anything that we talk about on here. We are totally pro bono or no bono or whatever you want to call it. But
pro no bono.
Here, I don't know if it's backwards or forwards, but it's called Getting Things Done by a guy named David Allen. This is like the most powerful method that I've come across for organizing everything in your life.
Absolutely.
So it's basically everything comes in one chute, and then you have to determine, okay, can I do anything with it right now? If yes, then it's like, okay, can I do it like right now, and just get it done and it's done? Does it have to be done on a certain time or day and you put it in your calendar, or does somebody else have to do it? Or if it can't be done anything right now, it's like, okay, here's just like reference, or, you know, here's something that I'd like to come back to later, or you just like throw it away, or, you know, whatever. So it basically is a very powerful way to, you know, process information, things that come across your desk, and you can prioritize. And then your action is in a separate phase than your planning. So you want to plan all this out, and then once everything is planned, then boom, you just execute, and you already know that that's the next most important thing.
Yeah, it truly is an amazing book. If anyone is struggling with any of the points that we're trying to cover in this particular episode, by all means, yeah, feel free to check it out. And like JT said, we're not sponsored by or anything like that, so not to worry about that. But definitely, there's a lot of materials out there that can help you guys with focus, with mindset. There's self-help guides. You know, there's a lot of things that you can use as helpful tools to be able to aid your journey in the simplest of ways. So by all means, if you do need help, feel free to reach out to us. We can give you some pointers, and we can give you some tips and tactics that you can use, or tools even that will be able to help you. So by all means, do that. We are on most of the platforms anyway, so it'll be easy enough for you guys to find us. Not like we're getting floods of emails at the moment, but we have kind of taken a little bit of a step back from that type of stuff. In reality, we are trying to focus a lot on the businesses that we both me and JT have going on at the moment, and trying to find time to obviously provide all this content to you guys as well, because you guys are important to us. We are honored and humbled for you guys watching, that you are providing us with the support that we're getting continuously from you. So thank you very much for that. And on that note, I do believe we should move on to point number 2. What do you think? Unless you want to share some more interesting facts about focus, and maybe some helpful tips to the public, what they can do in their daily routines to be able to help them focus better.
Well, just one final point on focus. I mean, like, I don't know. I intrinsically, just intuitionally, I feel like everyone has this ability, but they just don't utilize it. And that's the ability to just lock out everything out of your mind and focus on one thing. Like, quite a few years back, I was taking it was like a motorcycle safety course, you know, for getting licensed to ride a motorcycle. And I was like, the teacher was speaking, we were like outside, and it was a nice day, and like everyone was kind of like, you know, squirrels and looking around and, you know, looking for nuts or whatever. And I was like laser focused on, you know, everything that the teacher was saying. And then like after, you know, it was like it was like a week session or something of several days of doing this. And he came up to me, he's like, do you have like ADD or something? And it's like, I was like, no, why? And he's like, well, because you're just like, you're so focused. And he's like, I felt like I had your whole attention the entire time. I'm like, well, no, it's just,
isn't that the whole point though?
Focus, you know? And maybe it's because I played so many video games, but I'm just like
tunnel visioned all the way.
Nothing else matters. Like the building could be burning down around me, and I'll just be like, I'm gonna get this one thing done, and then I'll, you know, jump out the window. So.
But see, that's not a bad thing. A lot of people consider that to be a bad thing, but it's not really a bad thing. Getting tunnel vision when you're trying to do something is based on dedication, focus being the major part of it, of course. But you know, when you've got laser pinpoint accuracy and you're trying to get something done, that is actually an exceptional tool to tap into, because not everyone can say that. People like squirrels get very easily distracted. You know, we're very much like kids when they're about 4 or 5 years old, you know, walking down the road, and every single thing is like, oh my God, look at a shiny little object. You know, so absolutely, you know, it's important to have that type of focus, which is a bonus, actually, if you ask me. So definitely something worth having in keeping if you've got it. Yeah. But
and then and I guess it did remind me of one more thing. Sorry.
Yeah, sure.
That actually, it's funny because it reminded me of the point that I was making about not remembering things, which is that the mind is not built to remember. Like, like I said, whether you believe in evolution or not, it's neurologically not wired for memory. It's neurologically wired to process information.
Yeah.
Right. So what I do, why I, when I'm talking to someone, it sometimes I'll like zone out and like people will like think like I'm just gone or something, like, my soul has left my body. But it's because I don't remember with my brain. I remember by writing stuff down. And that was actually one thing I learned from that book, is that you write everything down. You don't try and remember things. So if I don't have anything in front of me that I'm remembering, then it's like, there's not much to draw on, because I've intentionally, removed my memory banks so that I can actually focus on the task at hand.
Yeah. Well, that's why they always say the pen is mightier than the sword. Well, the pen is actually mightier than the mind, because when you write it down, there's no chance you can forget it. It's there, so you can remind yourself all the time. But if you try and listen, and you're gonna forget. It just happens. The mind, like JT said, is designed not to remember things. But people make drugs for that now. So.
Well, I can honestly say I cannot remember the last time I forgot something.
That was actually very good. Well done. Oh my god.
Do I get a cookie?
Hopefully you guys got that as well. Oh my days. Right, let's move on to point number 2 of our amazing episode, which is mindset. Now, mindset as a topic gets brought up quite often in the entrepreneurial community. And there is a very good reason as to why that is. It doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter whether you're trying to create a new project. It doesn't matter if you're running a business or starting a business, or you're just getting into this particular field, in the field that you are, whether you're in the MMO niche, whatever niche you are, whatever business you're trying to do or run, mindset is going to be the biggest tool, okay, that you can use. Because if you don't have the correct mindset to do something or to complete a task or to reach your goal, you will not be able to succeed. And trust me when I say that. It is also the biggest downfall that you will ever experience, because you can never, ever be 100% positive, dedicated, and committed to doing something. Okay, so if anybody watching this out there thinks that, yes, we know mindset is an important thing, and it is something that we need to focus on and always be positive about and this and that, it's just not going to happen. Okay, you have to realize that you're, at the same time that you're doing what you're doing as an entrepreneur, as someone who, is a full-time dad, has a full-time job, and has enough time to create content like this, I will tell you that life does get in the way. Life will always get in the way. Things will happen around you or to you that will prevent you from constantly having that mindset, that fullness of positivity running and coursing through your veins. Because in reality, we are not always focused on being the best that we can be. Although we try our very hardest to do that, it's impossible. Okay, so anyone that's out there that is thinking, this is too much for me and I can't do this and stuff like that, give yourself a little credit. Okay, you're only doing the best thing that you can. Try to remember that positivity is draining. Okay, you can't be positive all the time. You can try to be. I see you smiling. All right. As much as we try and do it, as much as we try and stay positive, and try and instill that sort of positivity into others and help them create a mindset that is capable of generating content. What content, like I said, is just one topic, but someone staying positive also helps them think better. Okay, so that's why a lot of videos you may see that touch on this particular subject will tell you that you need to stay positive to be creative. Okay. Now, a lot of that is true, but at the same time, no one really concentrates or even talks about the negative side of that mindset. We can sit here and we can try and give you ideas and pinpoint things for you, but in reality, for you to be able to stay positive most of the time, you will have to generate or draw from your own experiences, like I mentioned earlier, that will put you in that particular type of mindset. Because if you don't have a successful mindset, you cannot be successful. Okay, it's basic math, really. What do you think, JT?
I think those are all great points. Sorry. That frog that I ate earlier is coming back with a vengeance. So that. But I think there's kind of two separate points of mindset. Number one is adding good information in to kind of change your perspective on things and educate you on better ways to process things. But then there's also the other side of it, which is removing limiting beliefs. And if you only focus on one side or the other, then you're not going to really function at your highest level. And I love mindset. Like I actually just released an ebook, The 10 Commandments Mindset Gurus Got Wrong.
Oh,
and
definitely.
It covers things like just do it, get over it, all these different things. Like it sounds good on paper, but when you actually peel it back, it's like you're actually repressing your true emotions, which is not, a long-term solution. When I started in direct selling, but the network marketing industry, I was with a great company, and the people were like, made it such a point to be super positive all the time. Like they were like so in the mindset that you could not be honest about how you feel. It's like everything is great, always great, always great. And it felt kind of like a cult because they're like, no, you can't even say you're tired because you'll speak it into existence. And I'm like, okay, great. I'm not tired. I'm exhausted.
I'm broken.
So, congratulations, you played yourself. And that's not, it's not true, because one, you're not being honest with yourself. And then two, you might have limiting beliefs that need to be addressed. So you can't just keep pouring water into the cup. You actually have to empty the cup, and then you can pour good water in.
Correct.
So I don't know if you've heard of, like, there was a Buddhist monk, somebody came and it was like, teach me all this stuff, and he was going on about how he knew about Buddhist philosophy and Christian philosophy and Hindu philosophy and all these different philosophies and whatever. And the monk was like pouring tea in his cup, and he's talking about all this stuff, and he keeps pouring, and then the cup overflows and it's spilling in this guy's lap. He's like, what are you doing? You're crazy. And the monk is like, well, to receive the new and the truth, you have to, empty your mind of everything that you thought you believed. So that's like absolutely crucial.
I totally agree. It is a great story, and it is very true, because it kind of makes me think about another point as well. The mindset of an entrepreneur, to have a mindset of an entrepreneur, you need to break your own, because up until the point any one of us decided to become one, we have always been instilled with this type of thinking that, you got to get a job. Or let's start from the beginning. You got to go to school. You got to get good grades. You got to get a diploma or, master's degree in whatever. And then you got to get a job, got to buy a house, have a family, have kids, etc., etc. All of this type of stuff has been instilled in us ever since we were children. But one of the most important things that we were never taught in school is how to deal with money, how to pay your taxes. You were never taught how to create something. You were always taught how to deal with stuff. Okay, never how to create something yourself. Okay, and I'm not talking about, in woodshop class, doing things in bits and bobs and stuff like that. I'm not talking about stuff like that. I'm talking about the grind that you're going to be going through as an entrepreneur. I'm talking about the systematic failures that you're going to experience, you know, and how not to be afraid of doing that, how not to be afraid of, you know, breaking the rules. You know, don't be afraid to step up on a limb and do something that no one else is doing. You know, take that risk, take that chance. No one teaches you how to do this in school. Everyone is always taught 2 + 2 = 4, where as of recent, apparently 1 + 1 = 0. We'll figure that out, right? Some sort of mathematical genius somewhere decided that that's the new equation. But anyway, the fact is that mindset, coming back to mindset from all of that, is an entrepreneurial mindset especially is very difficult to achieve, keep, and sustain. Because in reality, for you to be able to do all of that, one, you need to continuously surround yourself with people that are either positive, that have the same type of mindset that you do, or you need to constantly be feeding that mindset, whether it's through reading books, whether it's through watching educational materials, inspirational materials, you know, videos that will keep you at that level. And I think the very last point of that would be that if you want to, in reality, as no fluff, this is real talk, okay? If you want to have a successful mindset, one that will generate ideas, that will help you consistently generate a continuous, well, let's not call it content again, but material that will help benefit your business, help benefit your journey, you need to constantly be consuming knowledge. And yes, empty the cup once in a while, but at the end of the day, make sure that the level of content that you're consuming as an entrepreneur is helpful to you. So don't be going on Facebook or Twitter during this whole goddamn day, okay? Focus on the stuff that's actually going to help your journey by watching the videos that will actually help you do that. Because otherwise, you're just going to be wasting your time, and you can be focusing your time on doing more productive and more creative things. I think that's everything that I've got to say about mindset.
Yeah, so one of your points you were mentioning, you know, creating your own thing. So that's actually so important. We're taught from the time that we're very little, we're not allowed to create our own thing. We have to fall into the system that somebody else created for us, somebody else's creation, and instead of pursuing our dreams, we have to help, you know, whoever that we're working for pursue their dreams. And
we're
even
though
the
employees, that's the problem.
Well, not even that. It's just it's a whole mindset of not being able to be our true selves.
Yeah.
And there's a story of, you know, elephant trainers. When they have a baby elephant, they'll chain it to a stake, or well, tie it to a stake, and the stake is pounded into the ground, and it's too much for the baby elephant to break. You know, he'll strain and strain and strain and strain, and he can't break through the rope. And after however many, you know, days or weeks or months of straining against that rope, he'll just give up. And then when he grows up, he's a big elephant. He could take that stake out and just, you know, hightail it to Las Vegas and, you know, run the slot machines or something. But he doesn't think that he can, because he's so ingrained that he is stuck wherever that rope is. He cannot go past that point. And it's so powerfully ingrained in the mind of the elephant that the circus owners can take out the stake from the ground and just like move it while the elephant is still attached to it, and the elephant is watching him do this, but it just doesn't cross the mind of the elephant that now it's bigger, it can actually pull that stake, because it's just learned that, you know, the stake is its master. It cannot overcome its master. And, you know, we do the same thing as we go through life. You know, we learn how to fall into, you know, what people tell us to do, and at a certain point we give up trying to get outside of that, even though there's no reason we couldn't. We are so ingrained and stuck, and it's just a completely mental thing. And that's why you have to go through, you know, getting rid of the limiting beliefs as well.
limiting beliefs can also bring you down as a person. They can kill your creativity, to the point where you would think that focusing on something other than what you've been taught is completely wrong. It's very much like religion in a way, if you think about it. You're in a box. You always have this one particular belief that if you do anything wrong outside of that particular belief or stepping across that particular line, it could be absolutely crucial. It could harm someone. Anything's possible. That's why becoming an entrepreneur is not just about the journey. It's about the experience. It's about the type of things that you have to be able to overcome and be powerful enough and strong enough to motivate yourself through the numerous amounts of failures that you may experience as an entrepreneur. I mean, I've heard of people that have failed started a company, failed within the first 60 days because they didn't have the right mindset. They didn't have the right focus points. They didn't have the right knowledge that they would have needed to be able to continue the business. It's easy enough to throw money at something, but you have to have some sort of base, to operate from. You need to have some sort of standard. You need to be able to know if you're going into a project or if you're starting something completely new from the ground up. You need to have some sort of something behind you to tell you, I know how to do this. I have the confidence to be able to build this, knowing that it's going to succeed, not just jump head into it first and then expect the best out of it. As entrepreneurs, we always bite off more than we can chew, like we've mentioned several times before, and then hope for the best afterwards. But most of the time, we know what we're getting into. Whereas a lot of you guys out there, you may have absolutely zero idea what's happening, and yet you're spewing out hundreds of thousands of dollars on courses, expecting to find that little magic key that will give you the correct formula to be able to generate money for the rest of your life. And it's just not going to happen. It doesn't work that way, because there's several ways of creating passive income, but passive income as just a phrase is something that if you don't understand what it means, then you're going to be failing most of the time. Whereas if you have the full concept idea of what sustainable passive income actually is and what it means, you would have a shot at actually creating it. And that's why I see a lot of entrepreneurs, in the circles of people that surround us, that fail all the time because they don't understand the full extent of what they're doing, what they're going into. They see a video on YouTube and they see someone flashing cash and expensive cars and jets and everything like that, and at the same time they're like, oh, I want that, shiny objects, and I want that, and it doesn't work that. They don't see what's happening behind the scenes. They just see everything and take everything at face value and focus on that particular thing and think, oh, this is going to be easy enough to do. Oh yeah, all you got to do is pay $1,500 and here's my course and it will teach you everything you need to know and you can have all of this and stuff. It doesn't happen that way. Okay, it takes hard work, it takes grind, it takes dedication, time. It takes a lot out of you to be able to have something, to create something of your own. And there's easier ways to do it. I mean, as of recently, GENSPI has somewhat launched, but we're technically still in the pre-launch phase, and we are trying to show people how they can generate a sustainable passive income through a very simple process, a 3-step process. If you guys are interested, by the way, I'll try and put a link under this video somewhere around here so that you guys can check it out. It's super simple, and it explains everything. It's something that you can use tools to be able to build a sustainable business and then continue growing from there on. And whilst doing this, every single piece of content that you generate, whether it's a post on Facebook or Twitter or a TikTok video or a YouTube video, once you've included that link, you will see how that will start working for you. Okay, because you shouldn't have to spend 6 months to a year to 5 years to 10 years to be able to generate 10K profit or income, sustainable income, a monthly recurring income. You should be able to teach yourself how to do this whilst using the correct tools and still be able to have a life instead of focusing 24 hours a day on something that could potentially fail. So with that little piece of thought in mind, unless JT has anything to add, we can move on to prep.
I do want to add one last final point on mindset before we move to preparation. And you were definitely had some amazing points about, the entrepreneurial journey. I've heard from, dozens, if not hundreds of multi-millionaire, millionaire entrepreneurs. And without fail, every single one of them says the most important prize of getting to that point is not the money itself. It's who you become in the process of getting that money. Because, if you just give $100 million to a normal person, say either through the lottery or even like all these, athletes that make millions and millions and millions of dollars a year, within 6 months of them losing that income stream, they're back to zero or worse.
Yeah.
Because they are still the same person, with the broke mindset, with the lack of education, with all this stuff. And they just came upon this money. Money does not change you. You change you, and who you become in the process of becoming an entrepreneur is what generates that money.
Absolutely. That was a good topic. By the way, I meant to say something about that. I totally forgot. See, this is
it's all right. I read your mind.
Thank you very much. But no, seriously, it is true. This is why, whether you're a lottery winner who, lands 140 million into their account all of a sudden and they're godsmacked and they think buying 10 Ferraris and 25 houses and all of this stuff is going to make them a better person, which it doesn't. It's all about the mindset. If you don't have the mindset to be able to continue, if you're lucky enough one day to win the lottery and you have exactly the same mindset you did as the day before, this is exactly what's going to happen. You're going to end up losing all of your money because you're not using the mindset required to be able to sustain that type of amount. That's why a lot of people that are rich, famous, even the ones that aren't famous and are rich, they know how to reinvent what they have. They know how to invest it properly. They know what to do with it, and they know how to continue having money because they're using the rich man mindset. They're not using the poor man mindset. Okay, if you jump into something like that, and like I said, if you're lucky enough to be able to one day experience what that would feel like to have 100 million sitting in your account, you would need to think about your mindset. It's not just about, let me see, now I'm going to spend 105 million on this house, I'm going to spend 1 million on a brand new Ferrari. It's not about that. It's about what can I do now that can help me generate more money than what I already have. This is the type of mindset you need to be considering. Okay, because this is exactly what's going to help you create money. Okay, not squander it. You need to focus on creating money and what you can do to be able to create more of it. Even if you have none of it, that's the type of mindset you want to be using. All good to move on to prep?
Cool. I'm prepared to move on.
Good man. Right. What would you say is the most important part of prep? As an entrepreneur yourself, what would you say in regards to your daily routine or weekly routine? What would you say the best part of prep for you would be?
I would say just having a big picture mindset.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I want to focus on in my group, the Online Wealth Machine on Facebook, and also my YouTube channel, and even on here and everything that we're doing, I have such a bird's eye perspective on everything from birth until death, but not only stopping at death, inheritance, estate planning, future generations, legacy. And most people are maybe they get out of the job mindset and they start their own business, but they're still so focused on, the here and now. And, they're almost like living one day at a time. Actually, that's one thing that I focused on in my ebook was this saying that live every day like it's your last. Okay. That is complete crap. Okay. Because it sounds good on the surface, but when you actually think about what it means you can't do anything that takes more than a day. Well, do you want to go to Europe? Well, you're going to spend your last day on Earth getting plane tickets and packing your clothes. Is that how you want to spend your last day? No. So, might as well not go to Europe. It's like, well, do you want a new job? Well, too bad. You're going to be dead tomorrow. You might as well just, stay at the one you have. You might as well just stay home. Basically end any potential future that you have and eat pizza and ice cream because this is your last day on Earth. It doesn't matter. The whole point of what's the word? Importance. The context is given by time. Okay, why does it matter to have kids? Because you want to watch them grow up. You want to see them have, maybe kids of their own, get their own jobs, their own lives, and that gives you context for what you do today. I don't know why people are so focused on the now they can't see the bigger picture, and I hate that. And that's one thing I really want to instill in people is you have to look at the big picture, because that's the only way that you can fit all of the pieces where they need to go to put in the proper amount of planning to get where you want to go.
Absolutely. For me personally, prep is a very vital point in anything that I do, whether it's this show, whether it's things that we put out on social platforms, anything really. Prep is a very vital point, because without preparation, you're not going to be successful in achieving what you want to achieve. And it doesn't matter what it is. It could be just a mediocre task, like going to the shop. Without preparation, you want to make sure you've got clothes on, for example. Not like I would go to the shop in my underwear or anything, but these are things that you don't think about sometimes, but happen because you do them. If you are going shopping, you've got to make sure you got bags, blah 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 blah, this and that, got petrol in the car and stuff. But these are all things that we don't think about. However, if you started focusing more on the prep side of things, like say for example, creating a social content program for yourself, a release program. When would you be posting? When would you be creating content? When would you be posting videos? All of these things, that's all part of prep. And prep in general is making sure that you are continuing the image that you are trying to, what's the word for it? That you're trying to portray to people. The best way to do that is to always be prepared. That's why there's here in England, we have this saying, the 5 Ps. Preparation prevents piss poor performance. Hence why prep is a very important thing.
This actually reminds me of back a few episodes ago, we were talking about a movie. I was thinking, I still don't know if I can say the name. So it's The Flounder. It rhymes with The Flounder, about Ray Alligator, or an animal similar to alligator. But before they ever built the restaurant, they had marked off a grass lot or something. They had all their future employees go, and they were choreographing their entire workflow. Okay, this station is set up here, and he moves over to here, and it ended up looking like a whole dance, and it was so efficient. They put all this thought in before they ever laid a single brick, and it was because of that preparation that they went on to create such a good system that they became, one of the world's, if not the world's, top corporations. It was because of that planning. Preparation is so crucial to everything that you do.
Absolutely. I believe that it is. And without prep, you wouldn't get anywhere in life. I honestly believe that you would need to have a solid prep plan to be able to achieve anything. If you're going into a big financial investment, for example, you want to make sure that you're prepared. Okay, if you're having a business meeting, you want to make sure you're prepared. You have the right information, you have the right details, you have the right facts about what you're doing. These are all important, crucial points that need to be addressed. So prep is always an important factor into anything that we do, whether it's this show, which hopefully one day you will see what goes into, whether it is a video that we're creating, whether it's an episode that we're working on, if it's a piece of content that we're trying to release, all of this stuff. The prep is the one thing that people don't really get to see, but is also very important to your journey, everybody else's journey as well. So keep this in mind, okay? The focus, the mindset, the prep. These are three very important things that can always help any entrepreneur have a successful journey, okay? Fulfilling journey, and hopefully a journey full of abundance and prosperity. So, is there anything else that you'd like to add?
Yes, there is. I would say, more than keeping an open mind, I would say expect the unexpected. Sorry, that frog, I swear. I need to start eating the chocolate covered ones as opposed to the live ones. The live ones keep trying to escape on me. But there is a real thing in the human phenomenon known as shock, where something so outlandish happens that it completely fries your mind. Things like that have happened to me in the past, and I spent literally this weeks staring at a wall because I was in shock. But let's say anything that can throw you for a loop, if you don't plan for it, if you don't expect it, then it will throw you off your game. So it doesn't have to be such an extreme example. Let's say we're recording this podcast and then all of a sudden, my cat jumps up and wraps itself around my face. Well, okay, that's I have to expect that something strange could happen. What do I do? So distract the cat. I
expect anything and everything on this show.
Especially on my end. You never know what kind of circus is over here. Whatever family that generated somebody like me has got to be interesting.
Absolutely.
And I'm the normal one in my family, let me say that. So I have a lot of experience. I have a lot of experience with unexpected things. So always, prepare, hope for the best, prepare and expect the worst. And then if, good things happen, then great. That's what you hoped for. And if bad things happen, then you already have processes in place to deal with that problem.
Yeah, absolutely. Preparing for success and always expecting failure is one of the best things to do, I believe, because that's why you expect the unexpected, like you said. But anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this amazing episode. Hope you guys have found value and a lot of useful information. As always, I am Asa Kirilov and my co-host JT, Jedediah Thomas. We represent GENSPI and the Online Wealth Machine. We'll include links below this episode or in the description, or if you guys are listening at home on Spotify or iTunes, wherever you guys are getting us from, then feel free to jump on Facebook and sign up to our groups. It'll be easy enough to find. In the meantime, hopefully everyone is staying safe out there. I know this is a ridiculous time that we're still going through, but like I said, hopefully everyone is staying healthy and safe, and we love you guys very much. So we shall speak to you guys on the next episode, which, if I remember correctly, is going to be a little bit of a surprise for you guys. Hopefully we'll have someone really truly amazing with us that can share their amazing journey with you guys as well. And until then, stay safe.
All right, peace.